Thank you guys for joining me this evening. I appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to have a discussion with me tonight. And tonight, I want to talk a little bit about food insecurity, especially in African American communities. If I'm sure all of you know that last week, the World Food Program won the Nobel Peace Prize. Former governor of South Carolina, David Beasley, heads that organization up. And in his remarks, he said that food insecurity in the world right now is the number one threat. Uh, Prior to COVID-19 pandemic, we in African American communities, especially in South Carolina, have been experiencing food insecurities. There are food deserts in a number of minority communities across Richland County and in other counties in South Carolina. And tonight, I wanted to talk with you guys because you guys are local leaders in dealing with this issue in your own right, in your own way. And I wanted to have a conversation with you tonight because one of the several of the groups that give out food for Thanksgiving saw 40% rise in the people that were in line to get food this Thanksgiving. Of course, the pandemic added to that, but we are expecting much of the same at Christmas, that there people will be hungry and people are going hungry every night. And just wanted to, number one, first, thank you guys for what you do in the community and to get your thoughts on how do we combat this problem and what are some of the long-term solutions or some of the things that we're not looking at that could be used to combat this problem. Um, Dexter, I want to start with you first. If you introduce yourself and just introduce yourself, tell us briefly what you do, and then we'll go to Alex and then you, April. Dexter.
I'm Dexter Ashford of Ashford Family Farms, and I am a local grower. I started a micro farm here in Columbia, South Carolina. Prior to that, I started a farmers market in the 29203, which is one of the highest food disparity areas or biggest food deserts, I think, in the country, the 29203 zip code. Um, so I started doing a local farmers market where I was just bringing food into a community that needed it. Um, and prior to that, I've been growing stuff. I like to garden. So I've developed a website that will help me actually expand out a growing course that teaches people how to grow food. So you can literally grow some fresh food in your backyard. So you're not, or if you don't have a backyard, if you have a patio, if you want to do container growing. My big thing is being able to grow the food and then sustainability for the growers. How do we maintain that business so that those people can afford to stay in business and continue to provide us fresh food?
Okay. Alex.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Mr. Bailey. My name is Alex Wright, and I am the founder of a nonprofit organization called All Kind. And what I do here in Columbia, South Carolina, is I provide and I deliver fruit and vegetable boxes to our senior citizens that may not have access to those, be able to go to the grocery stores, or may not have a ride, or may be handicapped and may not be able to get to those grocery stores. We've been doing that ever since probably earlier this year, ever since the pandemic. I also have a local pantry, food pantry here that I, also do for the homeless here in our community as well. So again, I'm Alex Wright, and that's what I do for our community.
Want to start, Dexter. Can you give me a little background on why you started the urban farming? Is it fair to is it fair to say that that's what you do?
Yeah, it is very fair to say that. In fact, that I think that was part of the title I wanted to use. Um, my purpose in starting it was to provide fresh foods in food deserts. Um, when I looked around, I saw the food disparity. I saw that you had what's the name, Dollar Generals that don't even sell fresh vegetables popping up, which you had grocery stores closing.
Mhm.
I can look at prominent neighborhoods, and the neighborhood my grandmother lived in. It was at one point it was an affluent to middle class black neighborhood. I mean, it was nice. It was, I guess if this is going to go nationwide, people won't know the references. but it was basically not the Lake Carolinas, but the Summits. Summit's a nice community, really nice new houses. It was a summit for Black folks when I was growing up. And I look now, and they closed the grocery store down the street from it, but they opened up a kidney dialysis center right in front of it. There used to be just a field right there. Kidney dialysis centers are one of the fastest growing businesses in the country now. They're closing grocery stores, but they're opening dialysis centers because people aren't eating right. So they're having all kinds of preventable diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, but it might be the same thing, sorry about that, and heart disease. Well, those are preventable. You don't necessarily have to get all of those things. Even if you're genetically predisposed to them, you don't necessarily have to develop them. You can battle some of that with eating right. But in our communities, the fresh food sources are closing, and what's left is the processed foods. You got your 7-Elevens and your Dollar Generals, your junk foods, and what they're opening up in our communities because they see what's happening and they see where it's happening. You've got the kidney dialysis centers where people are going because they know you're going to get sick. They know that the stuff that they give you for high blood pressure is literally going to destroy your kidneys. They know metformin is dangerous, but they give it to you anyway. And then when they give it to you, they make kidney center the dialysis center that you have to go to. So they're making money off you making you sick, and they're making money off you when you get sick.
Okay. All right. April, thank you for joining back with us. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Sure. So I'm April Jones with the Pinehurst Farmers Market. I'm located in downtown Columbia, 29204, off the Two Notch Business Corridor in the Pinehurst neighborhood. So we started the Pinehurst Farmers Market. Well, I guess I should say I started the Pinehurst Farmers Market out of a need for food access in our community. So we had 2 thriving grocery stores in 29204, one at Save-A-Lot and right next to the gym, and then another one, the Piggly Wiggly on Beltline. And so both of those stores closed around the same time about 2 years ago. So that left our community in a food apartheid, which means we don't have access to fresh foods and vegetables, milk, eggs, etc. And what was put in its place was a Dollar General. So obviously not the same quality or something that's very nutritious for our community. So I was going to a lot of food sustainable conferences. I went to BUGS, which is the African American Urban Garden and Farmer Group. And Leah Penniman of Soulfire Farm in upstate New York, who just wrote the famous book, Farming While Black, was there talking to us. And this is an issue that's not just happening in Columbia, South Carolina. It's happening throughout the nation. And we are just getting the effects now. But places like Detroit and New York have experienced this way ahead of us. And she said, if you are waiting for someone to solve your problems, they aren't coming, and you have to solve your own problems. And so I said, I'm going to start the Pinehurst Farmers Market, which is now a collective of women. It's a women-led food movement in Columbia. Okay. All of our farmers are women, which is very rare. And we are doing the good work of feeding our community and creating access where there was none.
All right, we appreciate it and thank you for that. Alex, tell me a little bit about what you do, because you actually have created a nonprofit to do this, and you guys are giving food, for the most part, giving food away to the homeless. Tell me a little bit about that program.
Correct. I was approached by an organization back in earlier this year, and they asked me, that, Alex, we want to get more people involved in what you're doing. So we want to get more people involved with this program. So when asked, I said, well, okay, I'll take on that project. So what I did was I basically just put it out there on Facebook and Instagram saying that this is what I'm doing. I want to spread this, be able to provide for communities, fruit and vegetable boxes to the communities, especially in the 29203 area. Just like you said, Dexter, in that area code, maybe a couple of years ago, and it may still be relevant to this day, that area code, 29203 area code, was the leading in the state in diabetes. I don't know if a lot of people know that. So therefore, when I was approached about how to get more people involved, that's where our organization stepped up and said, you know what, even if people can't get to us, I'm going to be able to deliver, especially in the pandemic. A lot of people didn't want to go out. A lot of people didn't want to go to the grocery stores. So therefore, I said, you know what, we have to make a way to be able to provide for our community. And along with providing our pantry that we have here for, especially for the homeless, that's something that we're able to provide for the community and for those that don't have access to get to a local food store or to get fruits and vegetables.
Okay. And once again, thank you for that. And I want to say this, that, and it's just a question. A lot of the issues you guys are tackling, agencies with, 200, to 50 to 200 employees, are tackling the same issue. Wanted to know what may, and a lot of times we all often think of leaders as elected leaderships, but you guys are definitely leaders in the community in dealing with and combating this issue. I'm trying to figure out what was the motivating factor. Have any of you personally had family or personally experienced food insecurity?
I guess I'll take the lead on that one.
Okay.
For me, whenever I ride out my neighborhood and I see folks that may not can get to, a lot of people have cars and there's a lot of great organizations that are doing great stuff, but you have to have access to get to it. If you don't have access to get to those things, how are you going to be able to provide, or how are you able to eat healthy if you don't have access to get to the big organizations that are doing the drive-bys and all that such. So what I saw a need for was, that's what I never encountered it, but I wanted to be able to provide an access to those who can't encounter it. So that's what drove me to want to step up and do something.
And so with the Pinehurst Farmers Market, that's one avenue that we have for our community to come and have access for fresh vegetables. So I don't think I mentioned we're here every Wednesday on Schoolhouse Road from 1:30 until 3 o'clock. And then out of that work, we were able to birth the Pinehurst Community Action. And so that's our nonprofit wing. And for that, we are really focusing on farmer education, farmer access to the resources that are available, and then also combating food insecurity and food education. And so we are currently fundraising, and we have given out Pinehurst Community Action solidarity boxes. So these are food boxes that are created from our fabulous farmers. So we have a chicken farmer, vegetable farmers. Last week we had a fabulous pecan farmer. And so we are able to create beautiful, delicious, high quality, organic, SC grown food and give it out to the community. And it's really just about showing solidarity amongst each other, that we are all in this community together. We all rise and we all fall in the same boat, and we all have to look out for each other. I think a lot of people have felt left behind in our economy, left behind with the outcomes of COVID and how they've impacted our communities. And so we as a people really have to show solidarity and community with each other. And that's what we're really working hard doing with the Pinehurst Community Action nonprofit.
Okay. Dexter?
For me, it was a good bit of what April said. Economic development also played a big part in it, and I've definitely grown up economically challenged. And I looked at statistics that said that at the turn of the century, from the 1900s, Black people owned about 15 million acres of land. By the time Barack Obama had ended his first term, I think we were down to 7-point-something million acres of land. We actually lost land. Well, with land comes value. I believe it was, I want to say Nietzsche that wrote, Machiavelli, excuse me, it was Machiavelli that wrote, if you want to make a man destitute, take his land. You make him destitute forever. And when you look at the fact that Black folks don't have a lot of land, and we tend to be a pretty, for the main a pretty destitute set of people. What we're lacking is land ownership and the use of it, and training those folks to how to grow, how to use their land. You can do a number of things when you have land.
Right.
You can work on it and make a really substantial living on it. I focus on micro farms, and I work with farmers, both male and female farmers, who grow on land, and they use they do a lot bigger than what I would do. But when you look at the average income for some of the more successful micro farmers, and you see some of these guys on YouTube, these guys are doing 6 figures on 5 or 6 acres or less. There's a guy in New York that's pulling down 400,000 on 1.8 acres because they really intensely farm. They do intense cropping on the little bit of land that they do. That's an excellent career for someone to have. That's an opportunity to teach a kid that this is something you can do. Okay, you may not fit into corporate America, mainstream may not appeal to you. Here's something you can do that can make a living and be a substantial increase to your community. So that was kind of what got me into it, the opportunity to teach folks something that, for me, I love to do. When I was doing corporate America, I would get stressed and go home and literally watch a plant that I planted grow. I would just sit out there and look at a pepper plant. And I mean, that's when I knew, okay, I probably need to be doing this. So.
What are some things that you all of you have been doing this for a while now? What are some things that, in terms of ordinance, laws, policy, that elected leaders can do to help you guys or those others like you that are out there? Is there anything that we should be looking at or asking our elected officials to do or change to help combat these food insecurities? And I
Provide
think
money for producers. We need money to stay in business. You can go broke doing this. They've got to look at the regulations, because a lot of times regulations are put in place and they almost completely stifle the development of new business. A lot of times we don't go and try to get loans, and we just do it piecemeal because we can afford to do it piecemeal, and doing a loan, you're not going to qualify anyway because they put so many regulations in there. Finding a way to get funding to the people like us who are trying to do it. Alex's business could definitely use funding to pay for that food, because nobody's giving him that food that he's giving to other people. The farmers market definitely could use the funding for infrastructure, if nothing else. And then her farmers need support also. They can't grow that food for free. And it's the same thing with micro farming or anything else. We need funding. To me, that is one of the biggest aspects, that's being overlooked. Nobody's talking about how to get money to us to do this. Nobody's talking about coming in our communities and doing it. I hear it's just us. It's people like us who say my community needs this. Let's get up and go do something. What do we do? And then we've got to go look for it. There's no one central avenue that's being broadcast as this is where we are training people to do this thing.
Okay. April, were you going to say something?
What I found is I am originally from Akron, Ohio. And so I've moved down here about 15 years ago, which just sounds like such a long time ago, but it feels like it was yesterday. And so comparing and contrasting like the laws in Ohio to the laws here, I feel like South Carolina is super farmer friendly and super entrepreneurial friendly, right? So I'm supporting this state all the way to the end, and I'm telling all my friends and family about the beauty and the benefits of South Carolina. We have so many benefits. We have 1, fabulous people, 2, lots of sunshine, year-round farming, and tons of access to farmland at a reasonable price. So it's a good time in South Carolina. What I found is researching the laws is that there is a lot of opportunity for farmers. There's a lot of opportunity for home producers in our state. We have the cottage laws, which I think are really excellent. I think we have a fabulous Commissioner Hugh Weathers. I think he's been very supportive of small farmers markets, and we've had a really great collaborative relationship with the South Carolina Department of Agriculture, and I feel like they're doing really great work in the state. I think definitely there's always room for improvement. I think there's always room to support our farmers more with legislation, with funding at the state level. And city initiatives are so important. County initiatives are so important. And really, we really all as a community need to have the conversation. I think there's a lot of room for education in our community about the benefits of South Carolina and the benefits of our fabulous farmers, and marrying that together with more financial support for sure. But I definitely feel like compared to other states, we are really on the path for success.
Okay, Alex.
I definitely agree with Dexter. I agree with Dexter and April about funding. Dexter, especially, that funding is definitely important. We need more funding. April, the benefits of South Carolina oh man, the benefits of South Carolina is magnificent because, like you said, year-round farming for the farmers and everything like that. On my end, what I would like to see, I would like for especially local legislators to encourage more people to eat healthy, especially in those zones that are, designated food deserts. If we encourage more people to eat healthy, I think more funding, year-round farming, and we can get those produce or maybe even get more grocery stores in that area to promote eating healthy. I think we're on the destiny of being very successful in what we do. But I agree with both Dexter and April because that's something that's definitely needed.
Okay. I have this question. When you're out in the community and you're talking with people who come to your farmers market or Dexter visit your farm, or Alex, you deliver food boxes to. What is the mood in the community? Are they saying that, are you meeting people who are unemployed due to COVID? Are you just meeting people that just didn't have the transportation to get to a grocery store? I kind of gauge, help me understand, what are your average customers? What barriers are in place that is preventing them from getting this fresh food?
Well, I think that in the Pinehurst neighborhood, we've really seen the transformation in our community through community activism. And so we've really seen a huge reduction in crime, more civic engagement, more engagement at our parks and in our community, walking, biking, enjoying nature. And so there's so many benefits in the Pinehurst neighborhood. And so what I have found is my work with the Pinehurst Farmers Market is people feel hopeful, right? I think when you give people access to food and resources and to community engagement and to education, it raises the hope for the future, right? They feel hopeful about what's going to come in our future, how we're going to work together as a community. And so really, I feel like our food activism work is really the fabric of our community, and it really helps to tie us all together because everybody has to eat. It's just life. Unfortunately, some days I don't feel like cooking dinner. Not gonna lie, but I have to cook that dinner because my family has to eat. And so we all have to eat. It's just part of life. And bringing our community together regarding food access is so important. And I think that's part of the hardship that our communities face, is that we're in these food apartheid areas and we don't have access to the life-giving food that we need to be successful and to be healthy and to thrive in our society. And so people in our community, I think, are being uplifted with the food access.
Okay. Repeat the question, Mike.
I just wanted to know what were, when you're out in the community and you're meeting people that are coming to your farms or that you're giving food to or buying food from you, what are they saying? Are they saying, are they talking about any of the barriers that prevent them from getting fresh food, or do you guys just have a better price than the Piggly Wiggly or the Kroger, or Alex, you're giving food away? Are you seeing people that are jobless or have transportation? Just trying to get a feel of what are some of the barriers in the community, and what are some of the people that you see, what are they going through in order to prevent that may be causing the food insecurities?
In my opinion, it depends on where you are. If I'm closer to the northeast side of Columbia, they are yay, rah, and they come out and support because they're happy to see a Black business and they understand that fresh food is important. They come to our market and they don't question the price usually. They come and they buy. and I was just in the 29204. I was at the Save-A-Lot parking lot one Saturday and came back and did it at a church, local church in the area, the next Saturday. Next day that I did it down there. And what I see down there is best way to say it, the expectations of the people in the area. I literally had people walk up and say, "Oh, those greens are nice. Thank you." I was like, "No, they $3." "Oh, no, I don't want them greens," and put them back. I've had people jump out of the car. "Oh, those so nice. Thank y'all," and walk back in. "Ma'am, those are $3." And oh, well, let me go get the change. Yeah, I've had seen people in that same neighborhood that came up, how much, paid the money, whatever. It is the level of expectation, and I think we've got to be honest about some of the things, because our problems tend to be tied in and interwoven to various other problems, and the level of expectation in some of our places, we've got to do a better job of messaging. To really change people and to really affect that level of poverty, it's going to have to be a different message sent, if that makes any sense. And I may be slightly off, but it just depends on where you are and the message that the people have been getting in that area. If everything's free.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly, that at the Pinehurst Farmers Market, we really focused on education, right? I'm an educator by trade, and so that's just something naturally that I do. But I think we do have to educate, and that's just part of being, a market, a farmer's market, is you have to educate your consumers about, one, the value, the taste, the flavor, how to create dishes with those items, and on and on and on it goes. It never ends. But I think also at the Pinehurst Farmers Market, we really focus on heirloom, heritage, South Carolina produce that is different, unique, and flavorful. And so people, once they get that taste, they are like, "Oh, that's the most wonderful taste I've ever had, and I want that taste again." And I think that's really where the education comes in. I'm sure it's the same with you, Dexter. Once they have the taste of those greens, they take those greens home, then they're like, "Oh yes, this is not the grocery store. This is fresh, flavorful, and delicious," and they want it more. And I think that's a benefit of South Carolina. We have great soil and fabulous farmers who know how to produce.
Alex, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, sure do. I think for me, and the primary area that I serve, the 29203 area, the North Columbia area, we see a lot of different, it's a whole lot different from what April and what Dexter was talking about. Reason being is we have a lot of people, the people that I serve, prime example, I'll give you an example. I had a younger lady that was taking care of her father. Her father was sick. She was her father's primary caretaker. And with that being said, that she had to stay with her father 24, basically all day. So her father didn't have access to get out and get fresh fruit and vegetables. So she asked, "Hey, if you don't mind delivering, or, continue delivering to my father." Unfortunately, her father had passed away, but up until that time, I was delivering to her because she didn't have access to get out, because she was the father's primary caretaker. On another line, we have, just like I mentioned before, we have those senior citizens that can't get out, don't have access to get out, and want the fresh fruit and vegetables, but they can't get out. So what I do is, and a lot of people that I deal with, they are on EBT. They do have EBT cards, and therefore we process that information. And if they don't have enough on the EBT cards, like I said, that's where my organization steps in and will pay for that box. But it depends on where you're at in South Carolina. Different parts of South Carolina more affluent than others. Like I say, the North Columbia, that's primarily where I serve. So we see a different spectrum of what, Dexter and maybe what April see.
Okay. Cool.
No, I came up in 29203, and I know where a Meadow Lakes and Summer Hills was, and I kind of see where they are now. So no, I'm with you. In fact, I really would love to know how we can manage to work something out where we get produce to you, and at the same time, looking at the business model of growers, if we're going to do the educational aspect of it, we've got to teach our growers to be smart business people. And that meaning that they're going to have a mix of production where they're going to have to send some to our old communities, and they're going to have to feed communities that don't look like us who would really pay the premium dollar. And because let's be honest, farming is a business. If you are not making money, you're not going to be able to afford to continue to do it. So how do we mix that successfully without looking like I don't want to send my best lettuce here? I want to send my best lettuce over there because they're going to pay top dollar for it. Because then you feel like, okay, I'm really cheating my people or treating my people like they're not good enough for this good stuff. But at the same time, I got to realize, yeah, that lettuce over there, they're going to pay more for that lettuce. That's a $5 head of lettuce over there where they might pay $1 for it. So I say that to say we've got it, and a lot of this is going to just come from education, guys. We're really going to have to work with our people. It's the biggest part is in the 29203s or people that are used to receiving free stuff. They just used to receiving free stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of, I was on the fence. I was went to a community meeting before the at the North Main great organization, North Columbia Business Association, great organization that does some great stuff in the community. I was invited out to a meeting a couple years back. The Bilo that used to be on North Main that closed, and now there's a dialysis clinic right there. It says a lot. But I was in the meeting, and the community leaders and the mayor was there, and they were saying we got to get the people out to go in the store and buy more food. We gotta do what we can. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. The company was simply saying, the Bilo representative was simply saying, hey, we closing because we don't make enough money off y'all. And I'm like, we were in the meeting advocating for a for-profit business when the only thing they were doing was just closing the door because they wasn't meeting the profit margin. I don't think it was they wasn't making a profit, they wasn't making the margin. And so that puts us as a community in a bad situation, and I guess my question is for April and Dexter. How in South Carolina, especially in Richland County, a lot of us live in suburban neighborhoods and we got land. How difficult is it to start, planting some collard greens, some lettuce, some tomatoes? A while ago, we had grandfathers, great grandmothers that passed on a tradition, and a lot of us knew how to do this stuff. Now we're to a point where we've lost, as a community, we've lost a whole lot of those skills, those life skills. And so how difficult is it, if I don't have any training to grow some tomatoes or some lettuce in the backyard?
I think it's easy now. But I've always been like a green thumb, and my grandmother is from Milledgeville, Georgia, and my great grandparents were farmers on my mom's side. And so maybe it could be in the blood. But I do think that in this age of COVID-19, in the age of where we are as a country and as a state, we all need to be self-reliant. I don't care what you say, you need to rely on yourself, right? And so we all have to get back to those skills. And so it's easy to do a container garden. That's very easy. You just put a pot, put some soil, put some amendments, which mean like fertilizer, Miracle Grow, eggshells, whatever you have. If you have bunny poop is very good. And so you just put in your seed and you let your seed grow. Now, my thing that I am a big proponent of, and this is just my personal thing, is that you need to get the best seed that you can get. I believe in supporting our fabulous seed companies. We have some fabulous seed companies in South Carolina. I highly recommend Heavenly Seed. They're in South Carolina. They have very high germination rate, which means you put that seed in, the seed pops back up and gives you something in return. And so I would recommend that. Just buy something local, maybe not going to a big box store and buying your seed, getting it online or calling the Heavenly Seed or whatever local seed company you can find and having them mail you seed. And what you get with your seed is you get high quality, you get heirloom, which has fabulous flavor, profile, taste, amazing, and you get high germination rate, which is really good. But I think it's easy.
I think the process may be simple. It ain't necessarily always easy. Bunny poop is good. Bunny poop will burn your seed if you put too much in there. If you don't know what too much is, there you go. So it's a doable thing. I was looking at my micro farm today. I planted collard greens up there, and I planted collard greens in my backyard. In my backyard, I tilled in my compost. On the farm, I didn't. I just kind of put them up there and let them go. Which one do you think looked better? So you got to know what to do and when to do it. That's part of I actually will be teaching a course that is going to be a year-long course on gardening, and that's from start to finish. Believe it or not, some folks don't know how to pick the spot. If you're going to do a raised bed, how you're going to build your bed. Soil composition. My first year doing soil, I went and bought the cheapest dirt I could find because it was the most affordable dirt I could get. And guess what? Didn't really work.
Okay.
And I had to learn from that. You're gonna have to put some amendments in there. What are you growing? Because April mentioned eggshells. Well, if you're growing collard greens, you don't really need the eggshells.
Okay.
But if you're growing tomatoes, am I getting too deep in the weeds?
Dexter, you and April getting too technical. y'all agriculturalists. Y'all getting too technical. I'm lost. Like, what?
April talking about it's easy. That thing ain't easy if you don't know what you're doing.
I'm already lost.
It's easy, and I'll tell you why it's easy. It's easy because it's about life, right? Life is about growth. It's about movement. It's about moving things forward. And it's about planting seeds in your life that you expect to grow and to reap a harvest later on. And so when you are working in the soil, you are improving your health. You are getting sunshine. You're getting minerals and energy, which is wonderful. And then also it's a learning process, right? The first year you do this, it doesn't work. Okay, you research, then you do something else. And these are all skills that you apply to life. You want to get a job, you don't get that job, you research, you develop some more skills. And this is what gardening and growing teaches you. It really gets you to the core of what life is about.
I understand. Dexter, April said it was easy. Then Dexter started talking about the germination process. I'm about to call Alex. Hey man, what's up on the box? You know what I'm saying? That's easy. Just bring me a box. You know what I'm saying?
If you read the comments on some of my Facebook posts, that's what people do. They put that stuff in the ground and they don't get a tomato, but they get a little skinny bush, looks like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree, and they calling Alex to get a box. They quitting. You gotta hand some things are just better. My cousin, I had a guy to say some things are caught, some things are taught. Sometimes it's easier. You get a better return on your investment if you have things taught. And I'm not just promoting my class, but I've been there. I had the Charlie Brown Christmas tree in the backyard in the garden and couldn't figure out why. So I had to go and do research. It's a little easier and you get a greater participation. People like me and April, we're gonna do it. If you get a Charlie Brown Christmas tree one year, you're gonna figure out why you got the Charlie Brown Christmas tree and make that thing bud. You're gonna do a Snoopy act on that thing and make it bud out. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do the Snoopy. Other folks, like some of the people that commented, like they ain't never gonna try that again. They calling Alex, like, hey Alex, just send me a box, dude. I'm out.
What are some of the things I know besides come and purchase fruits and vegetables? What are some of the other things that you guys may need that community people can do to assist you guys in your mission?
So we're currently fundraising for the Pinehurst Community Action. And so we're fundraising for our COVID-19 relief boxes. So they can find us on Instagram and on Facebook. And you can donate on Facebook at the Pinehurst Community Action. And so you can see we just recently, I think this week? This week just gave out boxes for our community. And we are continually fundraising and giving out boxes and supporting farmers, women farmers, people of color, our community 29204. And we have a lot of fun projects coming up that are really going to increase food access for our community.
Help your farmer. If they're having planting day or if they're offering volunteer service, if they're asking for volunteer services, actually go out. It can be labor intensive. Some things, depending on the equipment you have, the labor can be many hands make light work. Helping that farmer who actually produces is usually a big help. Funding is great. Farming is usually a for-profit business, so it's hard to donate to a farmer, but buying from the farmer consistently probably helps.
Okay. Alex?
I know on my end, just like what April just mentioned, and especially Dexter, just funding. On our end, whenever we're able to go out and maybe somebody doesn't have enough money to be able to get a fruit and vegetable box, that's where we, like I said, our organization kicks in. But funding for us will be definitely something that we're needing because we're constantly, twice a month, we're constantly going out there delivering, taking those boxes to people in need and who need it. So funding would be definitely appreciated from on our end.
Okay. And listen, I appreciate you guys taking time to talk with me tonight. Before I let you go, if you each would leave us with your contact and your Facebook information so we can follow you and find out when and where you guys are, that would be great. Dexter, also leave your information. So let us know how to get in contact with you to take that course. April, start with you.
Okay, so hey guys, this is April Jones of the Pinehurst Farmers Market. We have the Pinehurst Farmers Market every Wednesday from 1:30 until 3 o'clock on Schoolhouse Road, right off the Two-Notch Business Corridor. You can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Twitter, you can find us on Facebook. And then we also have the Pinehurst Community Action, which is our nonprofit wing. We're currently fundraising for COVID-19 relief and solidarity boxes. You can find us on Facebook and you can give to us on Facebook, and you can always contact me through that way.
Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Alex Wright. And you can find me on Facebook at AllKind SC on Facebook and also AllKind SC on Instagram. You can also email me at alex@allkind.info. And therefore, if you have any questions or you need to get in contact with me, alex@allkind.info. That's my email. Please feel free to email me and we can go from there. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thanks for listening tonight. I am Dexter Ashford. You can see some of my videos on Facebook. Some of the farmers that I've represented. Those greens that April mentioned earlier were actually grown by a local farmer, Mr. Golston, here in South Carolina. I never try to take credit for his work. He can grow some greens. The man is gifted. So if you are interested in taking the course, you can contact me at dexter@ashfordfamilyfarms.com. That's dexter@ashfordfamilyfarms.com. We'll be putting out a landing page where we'll be gauging the interest of folks. First course will probably be building a grow box. We're going to have courses for students. We're still developing our courses, what they're going to be. And then if you just want to follow me and see some of my garden, I'm going to be doing the micro farm. We start that probably 2021. So if you're interested in seeing that, seeing the backyard gardening that I do, that's Dexter Ashford on Facebook. That has a lot of it. Ignore the political stuff. And if you like dogs, I got 2 German Shepherds you're probably going to see on there too. So, all right, guys.
All right. Once again, thank you guys for joining me this evening. And once again, thank you for the selfless work you guys are doing in the community. We cannot say, I cannot say thank you enough. You are truly needed and truly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us. We appreciate all the work that you're doing in our community. It's so important that we have a voice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Appreciate you.
All right.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Have a good evening.